Welcome everyone. Let me first say hello, and I, Shazia Sheikh, will be taking you to the ride of another inspirational pharma journey today. We are here on Human of Pharma platform by Pharma State Academy, and here focusing on pharma stories based on career, inspirational pharma journeys, current affairs, and book discussions. This is the fourth episode of Pharma Journey Series, Direct Dil Se, where we will be having heart-to-heart discussions with pharma leaders. And in this particular episode, we will learn about the journey of someone who is a researcher, pharma industry leader, an author, and yes, a certified yoga teacher. I extend my warm welcome to Dr. Ulhas Ganu. Sir has 27 years of research and 28 years of industry experience. He joined the pharma industry especially to act as an interface between the pharma industry and the clinicians. He had a specialization in quality medical information communication to oncologists, field forces, and the common man, along with the specialization in the medical support marketing and quality assurance. Dr. Ulhas acquired knowledge religiously and used judicially as a motto in his life. Thank you very much, sir, for your presence.
Thank you, Shazia, for very nice words. Thank you very much. And I thank again the Pharma Street Academy for inviting me to participate in this program and share my experience with the young generation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With your permission, may I start with the questions?
Yes, sure.
Okay, here's the first. Little off the cuff, but yes, I, along with everyone else, would be interested in learning about your upbringing and family, as well as how you were as a child.
Okay, that really makes one nostalgic because this has been a 75-year journey. I was born in 1947 in remote, you can say not remote, but away from Mumbai, 340 kilometers away. I was born and brought up in Dhulia. Then it was called as Dhulia. Now it is known as Dhule. It was a district place, but the population was very less, and the city as such was very small. I call it like a sleepy city those days. And it was wonderful to be having brought up there because culturally Dhule was very vibrant, and it was a small city. Means I can say that 20 minutes from center of the city you can walk to the outskirts easily in any direction. But we had some very lovely schools, and we have a single college, but educational facilities were there, and that was the biggest point of staying in such a city. So what I can say is I was born in a middle class family, and we always focused on education, and we had the school set up to get good education. I still recall names of my teachers of those times and who actually made our fundamentals very clear, which helped me throughout my journey. To tell something more, I will start from my secondary education. Dhule Educational Society was the institution, and my school's name, New City High School. This school celebrated Students' Day in a very interesting manner, where senior school students were given an opportunity to teach junior students on that day, take half an hour class. Now it was so difficult because you want to teach somebody for half an hour, you have to prepare yourself for several hours. So that first thing told us that teaching is not a simple profession. Another thing was when you teach somebody, you learn more because you have to learn every niche point. Many questions can come and you have to be ready for the questions. So these two things actually had a very big impact on my future life. I taught many guys in pharma, but I was never a teacher, but I still recall those days when I learned the teaching techniques. Another thing, another rather interesting thing I can talk about my school is that we had in our curriculum Sanskrit language. That is an ancient language and it is full of lot of subhashitas. And there used to be everyday recitation of subhashitas for at least 15-20 minutes. I recall many of them today. But the interesting point is, when I did later management studies, I found that these Subhashitas had some leads towards these principles. And that stimulated me to write a book on management principles from Sanskrit Subhashitas. That's been published as e-book on Kindle. So this was about my schooling. Then coming to the college education, we had only one college, but I had an ambition to become an engineer. So I took to science stream. But what happened is in 1964, I appeared for Inter Science. I lost engineering admission by a single mark. Losing admission by 1 mark, but I think I was destined to join pharma later, and that is why that happened. So, but then I focused on my studies later on. I took that setback quite nicely, focused on my BSc studies, and I got first class in my BSc examination and got good marks. We used to have physics and mathematics as subsidiary subjects. The mathematics was level of engineering, first year engineering level. So these things also helped me a lot in my future life. Another interesting thing I'll say is that Dhulia was a very small city. Traveling time, school was 5 minutes away. College was 15 minutes walking. There were no school bus, no buses, like city bus service also was not there those days. But then that provided us with ample time for extracurricular activities. So I picked up playing chess as my hobby. And luckily, I was a part of our intercollegiate college team. And we won the intercollegiate zonal championship for Dhule Jalgaon group in 1966. The same year, I got BSc first class. Now, Dhule was a wonderful city, but there were no employment opportunities and no opportunities for further education. So there was no other go but to leave Dhule. So I came to Mumbai. When I came to Mumbai, I had good marks at BSc. So I got admission to University Department of Chemical Technology, UDCT as it was called, for dyes and intermediates. But then with three other siblings younger than me schooling, staying alone in Mumbai, the expenses would have been very much off the cuff. That is why I consciously took an informed decision not to pursue the technology seat. And at the same time, I got admission to the Cancer Research Institute as a scholarship. I got 200 rupees scholarship per month in 1966 for doing MSc. So I was uh, earning and learning. And I got my MSc of Bombay University, but I worked at Cancer Research Institute in biochemistry. So somebody who wanted to be or had ambitions of becoming an engineer became a PhD, a doctorate. So this is the span what I can say of my education.
Fascinating to hear that, sir, really. And moving on, so now we know you have held a variety of positions, including CEO and mentors to many. How would you describe your day-to-day life? Would you say you have been unyielding in your pursuit of knowledge and have remained current with the latest developments in your field?
Yeah. Whenever we are in schools or colleges, we are very much protected there because what we miss, the professors or teachers will teach us again. And even if somebody fails, they will see that he passes next time in the next examination. But when you enter industry or uh, job profile, then that's a very cutthroat thing. And therefore, two things I always mention. One is update and update regularly. If you do not update regularly, you will get obsolete or phased out. So updation, whether in industry or in research. So it was in our blood. For researcher, what was there that you do referencing in libraries, and then experimentation comes after referencing and validation of results. If you don't get results, again you go back to the library, find out what could have been wrong, or discuss with your peers. And we had very good colleagues from other department, my department. We used to talk freely and discuss problems. Our guides were good. So the atmosphere in our Cancer Research Institute was really very good and nourishing for learning. So there I picked up that update or perish. And so, or update rather, or otherwise get phased out. So not to get phased out, updation was always important. Another thing I will always say is that perform or perish. That comes in the corporate world. If you cannot perform, the axe is always there. So these two fundamental principles were always there as guiding path for me. Now coming to the industry then, and then I will again say that in research, what we had was three M's. Three M's will be medicine, molecules, and followed by that is methods, because it's all based on three M's. Whatever you do, the methods you apply, you learn, you are working on diseases. I worked specifically on oncology, but the focus was then molecules. Newer molecules get introduced, what is their mechanism of action, how they work, what we can do. So three M's. In industry, when I came, I added two more M's, medical marketing and media. So the transition was smooth because medical marketing requires knowledge of molecules, knowledge of the disease, and the methods. I will come to the methods now. See, in my research, I worked on various problems, you can say synthesis of organic compounds as potential anti-cancer agents. We worked on herbs. Now herbs like medicinal herbs. So see, we had some tumors, animal tumor models. Whatever we synthesize, we test in those animals. We had a very beautiful animal house, mice and rats. So if a herb extract is found to be active, we will do activity directed fractionation to isolate. When you isolate another molecule, or purify, that means purify the extract, the activity will increase. Now this fundamental principle I will correlate when I was in the industry as a consultant, and we marketed FSH, that is follicular stimulating hormone. To take it there, first let me tell you that these herbs, one of the research papers I published in the journal Indian Drugs, we got an award for the best paper published in the Faculty of Pharmacognosy and Phytochemistry. So that work, I was very satisfied. I also worked on a project where we tried to reduce the cost of methotrexate, an anti-cancer agent, and we could, those days, we could get a patent, process patent for one of the reactions which was responsible for reducing the cost. So this research part, I learned a lot in that for application in industry. So coming to now this FSH molecule, what happens is the FSH, what is now marketed is recombinant, but those days the one FSH which was marketed was from urine. So it will have lot of proteins as impurities. Now in urine there are not proteins to a large extent, but there will be some amount of proteins, and this FSH itself is a glycoprotein. So when our parent company in Germany, they gave us highly purified protein, and so we mentioned it as highly purified FSH. Now there were a host of other people, other companies, they were also marketing highly purified FSH. Now the question comes of branding. Then what we did, we wrote to our parent company, and I was able to understand what they were telling. They sent us some reagents and said that if it is highly purified, the protein amount should be less, So the color reaction should be less strong. And in one or two conferences, we just ask the doctors that they can choose their brand. They give us vial and we will show the color indication. So ours was pure because very light color was produced, while there were other brands where a strong color was produced. So purification techniques, what I followed in research, correlated with the industrial techniques, and we could use it for branding. So no work goes waste, and application is what matters. We could do that. About you said how I update now. So this was the past, but for updation now, uh, PubMed you may be aware of. That is, it publishes all the recently published papers as abstracts. So now the days of internet, actually this is very interesting question because I joined industry as a consultant in 1993-94. Those days the internet was available by dial-up phone, and if you are out of Mumbai or out of metro, so when I was in Ahmedabad, dialing Bombay number means it used to cost 6 rupees per minute for internet. People now will not realize that. So PubMed, but those days PubMed was available on CDs, and every 3 months they used to give additional information. So those were the days when referencing was very difficult, but it was possible. Now PubMed is free on internet. You can check anytime you want, 24 hours actually. So I visit PubMed, check for recent papers. If you are interested in a particular work, then what you can do is you can go to the journal, you can ask for reprint, or there are many free reprints available. Reading these, you can keep yourself update. This is how I do it now.
This really leads to another one. What were your key thoughts as a researcher that inspired you to pursue management?
Okay, this is again interesting question because our days what was told was that you should have perfection in one subject, and jack of all trades was actually thrown, this statement was thrown as an insult, because if somebody is knowing too many things and he will not be focused on a single thing, was considered very poor learning. So we focused initially on single point. So when I was doing research, it was only my subject. However, there are always addendums. Like I will say that when I did PhD, around that time, there was a rule that one foreign language knowledge was a must for doing PhD. And that is because there are many papers published in other languages and you should be able to understand them. The rule was then waived, but then uh, I had taken up to learning German language. So that helped me in my work. So what you do is focus on your work, and additional things what you do will be only supporting role to your major role. Then I did another course on that was from Bhabha Atomic Research Center, that was on safety aspects of handling ionizing radiation, because I use radioisotopes also for metabolic studies. So that helped me in my work. So the focus was single work and these were addendums. But now what people say is single pole learning is not adequate. And now they talk of, T. T is a single pole you learn and get expertise in your own subject, and you should have knowledge of other subjects also. I realized it, and I also realized that, see, there is a saying that even field workers someday sit behind the desk because they become managers. Now, to become a manager without managerial techniques is very inadequate. So, decision making needs understanding of various subjects. This was my idea. So, I joined management. And the question you asked, my colleagues that time, I did it in 1986-88. It was a standard course at Jain College, Bombay University course. It was a very good 16 subjects total. So 4 subjects per semester, but a part-time course. You are allowed to do your job and evening classes were there. My colleagues used to say that you are a PhD, why should you be here? But our professor of management practices, Dr. M.B. Raut, I still recall his name. He said that all scientists, they should undergo such a training because there is every circle of our life touches finance. So you should learn some finance, you should learn HR. So doing such a course is the best thing. And if I can tell you one example he gave, he said that there was a person. See, all science ultimately leads to war, people used to say, because the guns will evolve, the bombings will evolve, and all that. So, one person, he said, he wanted to do a research wherein there will be no application. And that fellow studied uh, communication between dolphins under sea. He published a lot of papers, and my professor told after 2 or 3 years of publication, one of the navies called him and said that we want to discuss with you because we want to apply it to our submarines. So what he said you should understand is you should begin your research with a focus that what you want to achieve, then you can reach the result faster. So management actually should be there for all. And I feel that even in school, or if not in school, in college, they should start some activity regarding that. This is my personal opinion.
In that sense, yes, because there is skills which are needed now. You need to upskill to be in the game.
Yeah.
Moving on, from someone who has spent 27 years working in cancer research and he has now established a strong foothold in the pharmaceutical industry, how did it feel to be recognized as both researcher and an industry professional?
Yeah. Means I got very good recognition in research, as I said, because I was a part of a process patent. Now it is not valid because process patent is not valid. But when we were working, that was one, and I got a good award also for my research paper. But that knowledge I could bring for applications, and in the industry, I could use whatever I learned there to position our products. I would actually like to show you how I brought scientific things into product promotion. This was a product, it was hepatitis B immunoglobulin. Now, there was no treatment for hepatitis B infection. And so what we came out with this video where the virus enters the nucleus and prepares its whatever it requires for its envelope and other proteins, makes copies and infects another cell. This is the process, and this is how the infection will spread in a human being. Now, that is why we need to get vaccinated. Now, in this slide, what we see, this is immunoglobulin. This is called as fixed complement or the base, and these upper one Y shape, they are fragments, antibody, antigen binding fragments. So they will see now what happens in the video. They will attach to the virus and they will eliminate this complex into the macrophage. That is called as phagocytosis. Now this, imagining this and seeing this makes a huge difference. See now, this antibody will tag to the virus, and this is the way virus is neutralized. And then phagocytosis is macrophage will eat it. This is the way virus will be eliminated. This is the mechanism of action, what the way antibodies work. Any antibody will work in a similar manner. But this is interesting now. What we see is here the person has received vaccine. So a lot of antibodies are present, or the person's immune system will produce many antibodies. But here he is not vaccinated. So if you give immunoglobulin from outside, if the virus load is big, these levels will go down. And at a particular level, he may not be protected. That is the difference between vaccination and non-vaccination. So this actually teaches in a very short time the fundamentals of vaccination. And in this slide, what we showed was that these are seroprotected by vaccine. There are plenty of antibodies, and here the possibility of, see, this is the threshold level shown in red. If the antibody level goes below this, the patient or the person is likely to get infected. Okay, then I'll show you something. We have prepared a calculator also, that you can project how many antibodies or what could be the titer at the end of how many days. This was about our one product, typhoid vaccine. Now, our company got typhoid vaccine which had 30 micrograms, whereas all others were with 25 micrograms. So they attacked our product and they said that these people are not confident about their product, and that is why they have given 5 more micrograms. So we dig out from the research papers, and we found that when people had given 50 micrograms, there was 100% seroconversion. With 25 micrograms, generally the seroconversion was 81%. Means protection 4 times, fourfold increase in the antibody level was in 81%. And when we gave 30 micrograms of our product, the seroconversion was 91.5%. So we said that when we give 5 microgram more, we give higher conversion rate and more people are likely to be protected. So our product zoomed immediately. Now this was again science used for branding the product.
Okay.
Now this was another thing which is very emotional, that when the product tablet gets dissolved in the shortest time, you feel like it will be acting faster. So what we showed was, you keep tablet, add water in the spoon, and within seconds, but we were very careful not to mention say 20 seconds or 25 seconds, because somebody else will come and say that mine dissolves in 15 seconds. So to leave that, you just show that very rapidly dissolving product. So there are so many things involved in that. This product also clicked very quickly. This is what I was talking about, FSH, follicular stimulating hormone. When you combine these reagents, you mix and add 0.1 ml of the reagent, see the color with product which was not highly purified, and when it is highly purified, there was a less tinge, which showed that less protein content, less impurities, and so pure. So this was a visual impact which made a very great impact. I'll show you one more slide only. This is myasthenia gravis. When this leave behind was shown to the doctors, they immediately picked up, because myasthenia gravis, this lady had her eyes drooping. You give our product and she will be okay. So doctors, after giving leave behind, they will say, oh, on myasthenia gravis. So that tuned very quickly. And one more slide I will show. This was actually absolutely the molecular structure, molecular weight related, but we had a product called as pralidoxin chloride. This was used in organophosphate poisoning. The pesticides are used in agriculture actually, but is used also by people to commit suicide. And this is an antidote for that. So this was a very important product. What happened is another product came in the market as pyridoxine iodide. This was cheaper, less price. It started selling very quickly, and our boys were very distressed. They said that we cannot sell now. So what we came out uh, was, the chemical pyridoxine chloride content was oxime content was the active part. It contained about 80% of the active ingredient. Against that, pyridoxine iodide contained only 52% of the active ingredient. Then 48 milligrams were per ml solubility of the iodide complex, whereas chloride it was 640 milligram per ml. Now this was a product to be given intramuscularly. So the volume also made a lot of difference. So when we showed these things, pyridoxine iodide was out of the market because it was an inferior product. So, every time cheap economy, they don't play a role. What you sell product on merit. And that is possible only if you combine science with marketing. And I'll show one more actually. I will not discuss this much. This was prepared by us. Uh, this was a product used in Parkinson disease patients. What we gave was a leaflet, a pack of leaflets, 30 leaflets, 31, 40 leaflets to the patient. He was supposed to write only if he was feeling okay, that is on or off, or dyskinesia. And every day he has to record it. When he had his lunch or meals or dinner, when he had breakfast, and how is he feeling. So if he ticks that off means drug was inadequate, so the doctor can adjust the dose. When I showed this to a neurophysician, he was so pleased. He says that patient need not explain anything. This bunch at the visit, he should bring this bunch duly filled in, and we will know whether to increase the drug, decrease the drug, or what. So this is the way actually marketing should be done.
This really is very insightful, really.
Thank you.
Uh, Going forward, sir, we can see from your books, Making Sense with the Essence of Yoga
Hmm.
and most
Hmm.
recent one, Meditation for Everyone, that
Yeah.
you hold the opinion that stress may not be entirely preventable, but it is controllable. We
Yes.
would be interested in learning more about the books and your views on the stress and anxiety that people now experience.
Yeah. About stress, what we can say is, as you mentioned, stress is inevitable. In fact, stress is to some extent necessary. If there is no stress, the work output will not come, and that is why some amount of stress is always good. But if it goes beyond, then the person will break down, and then the workflow will be retarded, output will be poor. Now, why stress? Why stress? I will tell you. Stress is not new. What we say, even the caveman, remember, was scared of wild animals. It was difficult life that time also. And when he is moving through the jungle and is suppose confronted by a wild animal, what response he will develop is either fight or flight, that is run away. Fighting was difficult unless you got a weapon, and so fight, flight, or freeze, that is third response. Very few animals have that. They just will hold them in a position, but the response is invoked. Physiological changes in the body take place, such as what is called as sympathetic response where chemicals in the body are produced are adrenaline and noradrenaline. Now they will increase the blood pressure and even the body adapts to the blood flow. So the muscles, heart and brain require more blood. The skin becomes pale. These are the symptoms of extreme stress. Now what happens is, if say I am sitting in office and my boss is firing me, now again the stress develops. The physiological response will develop. Adrenaline, blood pressure increase, but do I have option to go out of the room? No. Can I fight back with the boss? No. So the stress response is invoked, but I cannot act. And that leads to the breakdown. So what is the solution if the stress is increasing adrenaline and noradrenaline and blood pressure is increasing? Yoga promotes parasympathetic response. Parasympathetic response slows down the system, slows breathing, relaxes the muscles, and this all will do what? Will make you calm, and so you take whatever nonsense the boss is telling without increasing blood pressure. So be cool, what you say. The recent term they say chill. So not to bother about, but you cannot say not to bother. So you listen, you understand, you assimilate. You may say that okay, I will improve, I will do all that, but I will stay calm. So this is the difference between having stress, responding to stress, and controlling stress. So this is what yoga does. In yoga we teach relaxation, slow breathing, pranayam. These things help.
Next is, we would like to know the value of scientific communication in the industry.
Okay. Actually, we saw something about it before.
Right, right.
Our visual aids. Actually, that is why I asked you whether I can show some slides or something, because visual impact is more. See what happens. Again, I will talk about the. We meet doctors. We telling, if I go with a product of my company, doctor will tell me, oh yes, your product is good, your graph of your product is good. You will always say that. Means he in a way is telling me that I don't trust you, isn't it? Because why should he trust me? I'm going from a company and I'm wanting to sell my product. So he begins, first thing is he will begin in the mind doubt that I will say my product is better than XYZ company product. Now, if I say this, he will not agree. But if scientific communication says this, he will agree. So what I'm doing is I'm showing him, see, scientific communication is what papers, research published by the doctor's colleagues. They are also doctors. Their publication, their results. I am not involved as a company person in that at all. And so what I am communicating to the doctor is what his peers are talking, what his peers have published. And I'm just a postman. I'm bringing good material to him. He reads it and he says, okay, I agree. So suppose I say that, say a drug A is old drug. It has its own problems. It has its adverse effects. He may not agree. But I give him a publication which says that drug B recently introduced has a higher efficacy, better toxicity profile, and hence is better. His peers, his colleagues, his other doctors, scientists are telling, he accepts. And that is why scientific communication is the basis of product communication in marketing. Medical support marketing is all about that.
This indeed is the most crucial knowledge to the pharma industry, really. This one is last from my side, sir. What advice would you give to freshmen, recent graduates, and anyone else interested in following in your footsteps?
Okay, as I always say, that hard work has no substitute, and But my professor in college, 1966, Dr. Professor Pishwikar, I still recall him for one thing. At our send off for BSc, what he told us was, see, success will come, but your work, 99% hard work and 1% so perspiration. This combination is always needed, but there always is needed a flavor or a flair of luck. So 99% perspiration. Hard work is what? Perspiration. So 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration, and a flavor of luck. So hard work has no substitute. What I say is there should be smart work. Means you should arrange things sequentially, do things like, as I said, that do courses which help you in your work and broaden your vision. These are the things. And another sentence I would like to end up with, and that is, um, again, not my statement, but I learned a lot from people, that between aptitude and attitude, prefer attitude. Aptitude comes later, because it is the attitude which takes you to high altitude. So if you want to grow, attitude towards work means, again, what? Hard work and smart work. Aptitude, yes, because aptitude is what is we are capable of doing, but what hard work is what we actually do. And so have a blend of attitude and aptitude, and everybody will succeed. This is what I feel.
Truly amazing advice to all. And here we comes to an end. And thank you, Dr. Ulhas Ganu, sir. I express my gratitude for your presence and for taking time out of your busy schedule. Few words for us and spectators before we enter.
Thank you. But what else I have told is, again, I will repeat that hard work has no substitute, and attitude blended with aptitude. What you like, you do. So what they say is that your passion should combine with your work, then you do not feel exertion and you can produce the best work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And everyone who is watching, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Reach out if you have any suggestions for future episodes by connecting with us on LinkedIn and other social media platforms at Humans of Pharma, or by email us at humansofpharma@pharmastate.com. Bye. Thank you.